Okay, my first question to you is, where did it all begin for you? How did your career as an actor begin?
Oh boy, that's a good one. So I came into acting in 2014, so it's been about a little over 7 years, February 2014. And it's an interesting story because I think a lot of people, a lot of new actors can really benefit, hearing what I went through and, how I came in and how I got started and the things that I had to do to overcome a lot of obstacles, especially somebody like myself who was 53 years old. And, I came in with zero experience and I had no idea what I was getting into. I had this idea that I was going to come into Hollywood, go to an acting class and hit it big. And boy, was I wrong. So anyway, I ran a huge, prior to coming to acting, I ran a huge painting company in California, and I did a commercial painting all over from San Diego all the way up to San Francisco. And the business was struggling. It was just going down the tubes, and I was just at a place where, I was all by myself, and I've always wanted to pursue an acting career. And so I decided that, I'm going to go ahead and go for it. And so I drove up to Los Angeles, took an acting class with Brian Reese in West Hollywood. And what I found was that, my biggest problem at the beginning was I had no idea what I was getting into, and I had a really, really problem with nerves. Mm-hmm. Even in the acting class, I was probably about 3 weeks into Brian Reese's acting class, and it was a class of about 30 actors, and we had to go backstage. He'd give us a script. We'd have to go over the script, and I was back there, and it was my first time coming out on stage, on this format, and I was in the back room prior to coming on the stage, and there was a back door, and I just was overwhelmed with fear and nerves, and I just wanted to run out the back door. And in fact, I told the actress that I was with, I said, "This is it. I can't do this no more. This is not for me." And she grabbed me, and she said, "No, you can do this. Just walk out there. You got the script. Worst case, just read it." So I did it, and I made it through that, and I just continued on. But I had a hard time with my nerves in the auditioning rooms. My very first audition I walked into, I just froze up, and I couldn't even get the words out, and I was trembling. The script was in my hand, and it was shaking and stuff like that. So it was rough. It was a rough go for the first couple years for me. So I had to overcome that, and I think any other normal person probably would have just said, "The heck with this." But the type of person that I am is I saw it kind of shifted from becoming an actor and landing the big gig to all of a sudden it was like, where is this fear coming from? What is this all about? And so it became a journey for me to conquer that fear. And it's been an incredible journey. I think the beautiful thing about acting is that if you have the right mindset and you take care of yourself and you kind of just bring it back to yourself, you can accomplish a lot of things. And so that's what I did. I had a guy in that same acting class was Brian Reese. He gave me a suggestion. He said, he goes, Mike, he goes, if you should try out Groundlings, which is an improv in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And he goes, that'll open you up as an actor. And so that's what I did. I shifted from the TV and film acting classes, and I dove headfirst into Groundlings. And Groundlings helped me out tremendously. So that's how I got started. So I came in with just a gut load and a head full of fear and just with no experience. And I think if you walk through the 7 years that I've been acting and you can see what has come of it, I feel really, really blessed that I've been able to overcome through, the help of a lot of people. And, of course, my faith has been a big part of my journey. Mm-hmm. I would not have been able to do it without that. I hope that answers your first question there as far as, how I got started and how it all started for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's quite normal for an actor, a starting out actor, they're nervous and because it's a new experience for them, they can't or they don't know how to talk in front of an audience, stage fright and, don't know how to read lines. Mm-hmm. It's a learning process. Acting is a lifestyle, you have to have a lifetime commitment to it. And
absolutely,
as you mentioned, you studied with Groundlings, and the Groundlings, that's a very well-known improv organization, in L.A.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Will Ferrell, Jimmy Fallon, Melissa McCarthy all came out of Groundlings. I fell in love with it, and so I just pursued that, and it's been great.
Absolutely.
And then I started to, the one thing that I did was, at the beginning, I think it's real important for any actor is, first of all, I had a friend of mine tell me that, everything that you do in this industry is important, no matter what it is, whether it's a student film, whether it's, whatever you're doing in this industry, nothing is below you, nothing is above you. Everything is important. You never know who you're going to meet. And one of the things that I did that helped me out a lot was I just took every audition I possibly could. I mean, the no paying jobs, the student films and everything, because I just wanted to, get as much flight hours as possible of walking across that, opening that door and walking into that room in front of people and in front of the camera. And that helped out a lot too. And I was fortunate, I've been very fortunate to start to land some really good roles, and I really picked up some really good momentum. And, I've had in 7 years, I feel really good about what I've been able to accomplish, but of course I am not where I want to be yet. So, it's a lifelong thing. And the one thing I will say is that one thing I did coming in, I had a really good friend tell me, they said, okay, whatever you do, don't get rid of your business. Keep your business going and pursue your dream. And so what do? I got rid of my business. I just shut it down, and I came into the acting. Now, looking back, I am so grateful that I did that, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a thing in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, where the general goes into with 1,000 ships or whatever, and he burns them all so that there's no retreat. And that's what I did. When I came into acting, I came in 100% committed. And so I had no place to retreat. It was either make it or sink or swim, So I had no place to run, and I'm grateful I didn't, because if I would have had an out like that business, I could have easily just turned around and said, the heck with all this. I can't do this. And believe me, in 7 years, that could be another discussion on the lows of acting. I've had some pretty dark days and some pretty tough times in the last 7 years. So I'm glad that I didn't have a place to go to, run back to.
Yeah, definitely. And I've heard this before, and people are very mixed about this. It's either have a backup plan if you go into acting, have a backup plan to fall back on, or, like you said, just go in 100% committed, because I've talked to other actors and creatives in the industry, and their story is if they have a backup plan, if one little minor mishap happens in their acting career, they just want to go back on their backup plan. They don't stay committed.
Exactly, and that's exactly right. I mean, I came in and I had to learn. I've done a lot of different stuff. I mean, I came from running my a huge business at that painting company, and then I had worked in factories here in Los Angeles. I worked for a huge company called Lever Brothers. It was a soap factory. I became the vice president of the union, and then I became a supervisor of 2 departments. And but that plant closed down, and so I've had a lot of changes in careers and stuff like that. So I had a lot of, my work ethic is very good. So when I came into acting, I started doing things like driving the limousine, and being a driver, and just doing everything I could to survive and pay the bills and make it. And then I went to selling garage doors in California, becoming a salesman in selling garage doors. But I had one of the jobs that I had as a driver. Through the limousine company, I picked up a guy. One of my assignments was I picked up a couple that was the guy was a 2-time NBA champion and 11-time All-Star, and he's now a Hall of Famer. And they ended up hiring me full-time as their driver. So I became their driver for like a year. That was great. They moved to Austin, and I went to Austin with them for about 6 months, but I had to get back to LA to continue my pursuit. But that was a lot of fun. And now I'm serving. I wait tables and I do that when I'm not filming, and I love it. I work for my family restaurant. My sister owns a restaurant in Big Bear, and I help her out, and it's awesome. I've got the Big Bear Mountains to run and work out at. I got a nice little gym here that I stay in shape, and that's important. So yeah, absolutely. You got to have a backup plan, and you've got to make sure that you can support yourself through the journey.
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, this career, this industry, it's not for everybody, and it is a lifestyle. You have to keep it up, but you also have to be realistic, and have a plan, because acting, it's not a big income. A lot of people my age or younger think, you become a overnight sensation, and you become a star and money and all that. And
right.
That is, sometimes that happens, but not very often,
Right. Yeah, and I absolutely, and I've done so many things, in my life as far as careers and stuff. And I got to tell you, as painful as it's been, and as up and down as it's been in difficult at times, acting, I'm in love with it. I absolutely have a passion that is just unbelievable, because it's not just about, like you talked about landing the big role and stuff. Of course that's what your goal is, but it became, like I said earlier, it became the journey of self-discovery and transitioning from and I always use the analogy when I talk to other people about my acting, because I was a baseball player growing up. Acting is a lot like, you have single A baseball, you have double A baseball, you have triple A baseball, and then you have the big leagues. And so, I started out in single A acting, and worked up to double A acting, and worked up to triple A acting, and then I've been called up into the big leagues a couple times, and so that's been in just such a short time, and overcoming a lot of stuff. So, you can do it if you keep it to yourself. You know what I mean? If you just make sure that you understand that the only thing that you have control over in your life is what you can do. We have no control over, whether we book the job, whether casting is going to cast us, whether they're going to like us, or any of that stuff. But I do have control over becoming the best and preparing myself and becoming the best actor that I can, so that when the opportunities do come, I'm ready. And that's what I would suggest to anybody that's starting out, is just to keep it simple and keep it, just keep it to yourself. You have no control over anything outside of what you can do.
Absolutely, yeah. You can only do you. You can't do anybody else's job or a life. You have to do you. And
right.
you never stop learning. You always learn. There's always room to learn, no matter how old you get. And and failure can be a wonderful thing because you learn from it. You learn not to do